it's Zach, and today I'm here with a very special guest. I am joined by Daniel Rodriguez. Daniel, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing quite well. How about yourself, Zach?
Good, man. Doing really well. Thanks for asking, and thanks for taking some time to chat today.
No problem, man. I got you, dog.
Appreciate it. So, yeah, Daniel is a man of many things. Daniel is an Army veteran, played college football at Clemson University, former NFL player, recording artist currently, best-selling author, motivational speaker. I think that's most of the things. I might have missed one or two, but that's a little bit about Daniel. Would you mind kind of talking a little bit about your background, who you are, what you do these days?
Yeah, it's. I think you nailed most of them. Um, I'm a brother, also a son. No,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. No, it's good. I also pride myself on pursuing acting, so that's something
Oh yeah.
I like to put in there in terms of my passions and what I aspire to make a leave a mark on this world with. So yeah, I'm just a regular old guy. Grew up, born and raised in Virginia. My father was the athletic director at Quantico, the Marine Corps base, so I was my neck of the woods. And I think from a young age, I was very sport oriented, and sports were a big part of my life, and movies were something that I always watched. So to me, it's no surprise some of the things you listed and what I've accomplished and still want to do is what has always been a driving factor for me. And I don't know. I guess I'll just kind of start there. I think it's a childlike mentality and curiosity that's been able to kind of keep me jumping from lily pad to lily pad of idea and not being afraid to drown. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think what you listed is exactly what I've always wanted to do. I think speaking and some other things have come as a surprise of something that I really enjoy. In fact, that's how we met. I spoke at your university. So
Yeah.
yeah, the journey's been long and quite eventful, peaks and valleys, like everybody's life consists of. But for the most part, I'm really enjoy what I do, and I try to do exactly what makes me happy, and put my efforts and energy into accomplishing goals um, of what I want.
Yeah. No, I love that. I think it's important to, spend that time and energy on those things that we are passionate about or that we really care about. And it definitely seems like you've done a great job throughout your life prioritizing that.
It's come. Excuse me. It's come with trial and error, and also heartbreak and loss. But yeah, it's extremely important to prioritize and structure, and it's something that I'm still growing and learning with. And I think have wasted a lot of time, and I am wasting time in aspects of accomplishment. So it's keeping that fire lit and yourself entertained with what you're doing and driven and hungry. So yeah, I try to put something on my plate that's fresh and appetizing, and that's going to make me work and continue to get the best out of me. So that's the great thing about music and acting is the scripts are different. You're diving into a script and you're really tuning into the character you might be, or you're writing a song that you just want to have this one line or one bar structured properly. So it's just something that it's for me. I love it. So the process is the enjoyment,
Hmm.
and I think that's what a lot of people miss out on their own life is that they're not enjoying their life because they don't love the process. And a lot of times the process for most people, I mean, I'm not my sister, including my sister. I love my sister. Just talking to her last night, she doesn't love her job. She's great. She's good at it, but a lot of people, they don't love it, right? And so there's nothing wrong with that. She's doing great and has a good circle. But me personally, like I've already been down the road of unhappiness and some things that I was doing for other people and not really for myself. So I try to keep myself on the rails or the D Rod Railroad and choo along as best I can with me throwing my coals into that fire, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's all good, man, and I just try to stay hungry after what I want, and and put my blinders on, and just work as hard as I can and be thorough in what I do.
For sure. No, I think that that's good, and I think that yeah, kind of like you said with your sister. I mean, it's not bad or a problem if you
No,
don't
no,
like what you do or
yeah, not at
anything.
all, not at all.
Um, but I mean, I know that some people they just that's not kind of like their style, and it sounds like that's kind of you, where like you've maybe done that before, or you could do it, but like you'd rather just focus all your energy on doing those things that you actually really enjoy and love doing.
Absolutely. Me and yeah, I'll kind of reiterate on that a little bit more. But I remember, I joined the army young, but
Hmm.
it was always a conversation that I would have with my friends, and I think my psychology structured this way, and for a bit, and almost diverted to this as well. It's when I got out of the military and came home, my friends were, graduating college. It was a 4 year lined up where they were graduating and I was getting out. And most of them were just sending out hundreds of applications. I was like, oh, for what? I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm just sending out 100 applications. I'm like, what? Can I cuss? Am I allowed to cuss on this or no?
Yeah, you're good.
I was like, what? Are you crazy? Like, and that's the mentality I think of a lot of Americans. Like, man, we live to be 70, 80, 100 years old. And by the time we're 21, you're trying to lock in for like something you might not even like for the next 20, 30 years.
Right.
And then, so there's just, I won't get too much into the weeds of ideology, but it's just the principles of, I think, American standards that we try to rush our lives, or we try to
Yeah.
fulfill expectations that aren't even something that are fulfilling, right? Like, it's like, who are we living for? What are you trying to accomplish? I get circumstances and having to provide, and it's a blessing, and also a privilege for me to think like this. Like, I've endured a lot, and I know I come from a first world country and a middle class family, so there was opportunities that I've been presented that not a lot of people have, and
Hmm.
I'm very thankful for. But at the same time, as you mature and grow, you have to structure your own beliefs and your own way of thinking. And it was always crazy to me that people would just come home, sometimes study something in college they didn't even want to study, barely get through, do it for somebody else, be in debt, or somebody paid their college loan, and now you feel indebted to having to put 100 applications out there and work a 9 to 5 or something. And
Right.
it was just like, man, this is a very sad life. Like, this is what people are waking up for.
Yeah.
And so, and it's, again, nothing against it, to each their own. But I've always said I like to be the author of my own ambition, right? Like, I like to
Hmm.
kind of let the wind from my own ideas lift my sails. So it is what it is. I think the military gave me that outlet of not having to work a proper, government. I grew up in the DC area, so 90% of my friends are government contractors or FBI, CIA, military. So it's the apple doesn't fall far from the tree in the ecosystems that you grew up in a lot of times. Um, but for me, I'm very glad that I'm still falling far from the tree I grew up on. So.
Yeah. Definitely. Now, I know you mentioned, Daniel, that like, your kind of your circle and the people that you knew growing up were, in that sphere and, maybe doing things with the military and whatnot. Is that always something that you thought, like enlisting in the army, is that something you always thought you would do? Or is it kind of just something that when the time came, you just said, like, yeah, this is the route that I'm taking?
No, I think it was just it was it was a it was it was a provided exit, right?
Yeah.
It was something that I understood and embraced. My father was a veteran. I grew up on Quantico. He was the athletic director, as I said. So
Right.
just the atmosphere in which I was extremely pro veteran. You know, pro America. I don't even know if that's a term, but yeah, just very patriotic in a sense,
Yeah.
right? Like, veterans are very proud.
Yeah.
Americans are very proud, right? And so uh, we're a wild breed of people in a big ass country with a lot of views and a lot of you know guns for that matter. So like, it's just very wild. I say it's the Wild West. I still say that, but no, I think that my upbringing gave me the optic on life of different alternatives, different, like I said, exits. So
Mm-hmm.
in my own life, when I'm going down this highway and I my grades weren't good enough to go into school, I had to pass that exit. Okay, and then I'm still driving down this highway, and I applied for a job to be when I graduated. I barely graduated high school, like like barely 2.5, if that. I think maybe, well, I think it was below 2.0. So I was like non-qualifier. SATs were bad. So I'm passing all these exits of opportunity that my friends are getting off on, that are, that are driving on, and yeah, I didn't get a job. My dad died right after 4 days after high school, and really at that point, there's not too many exits left for an 18-year-old kid with a 1.9 GPA and absolutely zero work experience and maturity, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and if you really put that kid into the pan and cipher all the bullshit and dirt out, that's really what makes up the military. And I'm not trying to throw shade on that, but that's at the end of the day, most of the military enlisted grunts, infantry guys like myself, come from a socially economic lower impoverished place, or are dodging jail, or didn't qualify to go to school, or this, that, and the other. And you have to remember, this is 2006, 7, 8, in that time frame, which we're in the thick of a conflict and the Bush administration, and there's just a lot of things going on. So um, the military and the road I took, or the roads I were going to possibly have taken, or the roads I would have possibly taken, were very much in the oriented in what I knew and grew up in, and I guess found a comfort in, or security, right? Like, I think it's a security or a pride, in the same sense that when you wear a military uniform in the States, more or less the bipartisanship of pro-military in the States is extremely grateful, in that much more on the right side, on the conservative side. So my upbringing in Virginia, um, people weren't looking at, oh, your dad died, you barely graduated, you're a little pothead, you don't do anything. No, they said, I put a uniform on, all of a sudden the marketing changes. It's like, oh, thank you for your service. You appreciate what you're doing. Like, oh, thank you for your sacrifice. I'm like, is it, I'm not going to school because like, it's such a weird conundrum.
Yeah.
Like, I just pissed away my school years, and I have no opportunity. I don't qualify for school, but all of a sudden I'm a hero, and people are thanking me for my sacrifice. Like, what?
Right.
I like barely passed this drug test. Are you kidding me? So it's just a funny world, I think, in my experiences. So
Yeah.
yeah, you kind of just, for me, it was just like all charades, and you know, not all charades. Like, I was doing my job. I was a soldier, right? I
Right.
that's completely on a different topic of what my actions and work ethic were in the military. But
Mm-hmm.
the imagery and the illusion of everything was extremely interesting at a young kid's mind, because you're just like, okay, you guys preach and preach and preach that education is this, that, and the other. I didn't have a guidance counselor in my school. I didn't. There weren't a lot of, like, my friends had guidance counselors and were putting in applications and had all this, but I didn't have that. I didn't have anybody helping me, and so now all of a sudden, when I have this uniform on, it's a, oh, thank you for your service. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
this was my last option. Like, I wish you guys would have been thanking me or telling me, hey, we don't want to be thanking you for your service. We want to be thanking you for your contribution to the greater mind. We want to be thanking you for working hard and creating and developing new software. We want to thank you for learning a language and giving back to me. Like, we don't harness that type of love and
Right.
banter in the States. It's a lot of times, where do you come from? What can you show for? What are you going to do? Who do you know? How many followers do you have? And then at the same time, you let people slip through, and they can get one job, whether it's EMT, firefighter, police, or something admirable. And it might not be what they want, but all of a sudden, they're heroic, or it's something. So I think it just gives you a cloak of consistency, or gave me a cloak of consistency being in the army, and it was kind of a scapegoat to all my bullshit and all my immaturity and adolescence and uncertainty, Um, but it also exposed a lot of other things to come. Having to go to war,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, my country was engaged in two wars overseas that I was part of. So it was a weird time being a soldier as a young adult, a kid. I was 18, 19 in Iraq. So yeah, man, it's a wild thing, and I wouldn't say it was what I dreamed of or aspired to be, but it was definitely an option, an outlet that was presented as respectful and something that I knew I could do if there were no
Hmm.
other options.
Yeah. No, that definitely makes sense. And I know that growing up, you're really involved with sports and athletics. But I know you mentioned that kind of, enlisting was the last choice or last option for you. Did you have any like chances to play a sport and go to school or not
Not
during high
not
school?
no, not really. I had
Okay.
like some interest from a Division 2 school or
Okay.
Division 3 school in Richmond, like some scouts. But again, like I didn't play football my junior year. My parents were going through separation. Just missed that entire season. My senior year, my coach had some, I would say, animosity towards me missing the first year and started a sophomore over me. So, you know, I think what I've learned as a young adult, or I don't know, I mean, there's egos at every level. It doesn't matter if
Right.
you're the Domino's manager or the president.
Hmm.
There's egos and ways of thinking that you constantly are going to interact with in this world when you're working with other people or working for other people or playing for a coach or whatever. Like these are lessons for everybody or my my but so yeah, you have to deal with people who know nothing about your life that don't understand what you're going through, and then but you're in their system, you're in their program.
Right.
So um, my high school coach really didn't help me, and that's not me trying to be upset because I don't think I was helping myself. Like there was maybe one kid, this one kid Rex Bradford on my team that he was actively sending out film to Duke, this, that, and the other. Like
Hmm.
nobody on from my high school team that I played. Maybe one kid played Liberty football, like at Liberty, but it just wasn't a from my from my like experience. Like there was no scouts. There was no that I didn't have anybody telling me like, hey, this is the grades you got to maintain. We're gonna help
Hmm.
you get your film together. You want to play football? Raise your hand. Okay, let's have an SAT study group. Let's structure what you need to do to play football. No, it was like, oh, you missed last season.
Yeah.
They didn't care that my parents were going through a divorce. They didn't care that I had to go live with my sister in Florida. It's like I didn't have the commitment to the team, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden now I can't play, and that hurts the kid, and it's also pride. Like I was playing varsity since I was a freshman, and then all of a sudden you want to put me back on JV, and again ego for me, and I was like, well, fuck you, I'll just go work. And I'll come back, or I worked, and I was like, well, I'll just go play off-season basketball, like because open gym is for during football season, the gym's open for, high school practice and like the off season. So I was like, if you don't want me to play football, I'm just gonna go open gym and go play varsity basketball. So
Hmm.
I think it was also that contrast of, I had options because I was athletic. Like it wasn't my
Yeah.
only thing. But yeah, no, I definitely didn't have scholarship offers or anything of that nature. I was just, dual, triple sport athlete in high school, played everything.
Right.
And that's about it.
Okay. And now I know you mentioned that like back in high school, you didn't really have, or you were really had like that kind of support system of like, hey, this is how we'll get you a scholarship or whatever. Um, when you got back from enlisting and you ended up going to Clemson, did you have anyone at that stage of your life kind of like help you and guide you to get to that point, or was that just all you just like figuring things out and working hard to get there?
Uh, I'm going to think before I answer this because it's a really good question. But I'm like 90, I'm 100% sure it was all me. Like the military provides a GI Bill, so that was something that I went in and
Hmm.
had knowledge of. It was going to transfer once I got out. Um, but no, at that time, I was pretty cold shouldered in terms of or I wouldn't say cold shouldered, I was stern. I was very Spanish we say duro. It's hard, very just a very tough and conditioned kid from war. So I went in with a purpose and an objective, and almost an irritation too. Like I wanted to come back with a vengeance. Like I just survived all this stuff, and I'm
Hmm.
walking down the strange streets of high school, and I got to get my GP, I got to go get my high school transcript so I can enroll in a local community college. And I had to walk in on my own accord and go sit down. So no, I was by myself. Nobody helped me again. And I went in and got my transcripts and drove and went to the community college that was in my hometown and enrolled right there. So um, I was very certain that that was going to be the next step of my life. And again, it's all a reflection. I think that's the thing of surrounding yourself with people in your life that motivate you, encourage you, or are doing things better than you or what you aspire to be, because it gives you that beacon of, of hope, infrastructure, and also knowledge, right? Like, and I'm telling you a timeline of when I got out of the Army 4 years later, and all my friends had just been graduating college. So I saw that next step very clear, that okay, if they can do this and this is the next process in the American dream and this is what needs to happen, like I'm a minority, I'm a veteran, I have my GI Bill now, like there's things that I need to attain, so I my resume will look good, right? You start, I need to put together my resume, everything's my resume, like my resume, which there's 15 million people on. I'm just making up words. 15 million people on LinkedIn. Everybody's got a resume, so it's like I'm just trying to fit the social structure and hopefully one day not have to check Hispanic in a box anymore, right? Like
Yeah.
that's my way of thinking at this time. So when I got out, like yeah, I was very driven to go to school, get my education, and kind of. Well, it's also when I got out of the military, you quit getting paid, and the GI Bill pays you to go to school as long as you maintain a 2.0. So one of the main driving catalysts for me to make sure I was enrolled right away was because I was going to get a paycheck. So that was kind of the motivating line in that regard as well.
Okay. Gotcha. And like, and now coming back, you knew you wanted to play football too. That was a big part of it, right?
Yes and no. I've always wanted to play football. My
Okay.
entire life has been I've wanted to play in the NFL. I wanted to play in the NFL. Like my dreams were music, movies, sports, siempre or always, excuse me. And it's so wild. I'm thinking in Spanish. Everything I say. Um, but yeah, so no, the goal as a kid was always to. My father wanted a world class athlete. Like I was throwing tennis balls before I could walk. I was walking at 9 months. Like I was playing AAU basketball, 10 and under at 6, till I was 18. So I literally played 12 years AAU. It was a very, I'm still a decent athlete, right? Like
Yeah. Oh yeah.
just something that was fine tuned, like any other craft. Like see people play the guitar, or sing. I've been playing for 15, 20 years. I'm like, it makes sense. People see me play basketball, right? Like I have great basketball skills, handles, and run the court, and I know the game. It's like, yeah, I've literally been playing since I could walk. Like I just, the hoop to me is I know how to put the ball in the hoop from anywhere on the court. It's just the way that I can do it. Football was the same. So, I, you know, yeah, it's very I grew up an athlete, man, and I'm very thankful. Like I love the opportunity that sports presented. Um, but yeah, everything has a shelf life, and it was necessary for me to take lessons from that and use that later in life of commitment and dedication and work ethic and etc. So there's a lot that came from sports and still come from sports, and you know that I absolutely love, and I'm very thankful to have been able to play and still play for fun.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's great, and I think it's crazy to think that you you have played at the highest level of football. I mean, you played at a really great collegiate program. You made it to the NFL. Like you've
Bro,
done
bro.
that. Yeah.
You gotta tell the story right. I got knocked out at the highest level, bro. I got knocked out.
Okay.
When they say leave it all on the field, your boy left it all on the field. Okay?
Yeah.
That's how it needs to be remembered. Like it sucks that I didn't like. For me, like there's always, oh man, I only played 4 preseason games in the NFL, but I had catches, punt return. Never fair caught a punt, never took a knee in the end zone on kickoff. Bro, I was living. I knew I had nothing to lose. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I played at the highest level, and um, truthfully, it was just I was proving it to myself, and it's a weird diagram of its infrastructure because I probably would have never played at a program like Clemson if I didn't have the background and story I had. But then
yeah,
once I get to Clemson, I would have never had the success or the ability to compete if I didn't have the upbringing I had. So it was kind of this gap where, like, because, dude, I'm not like I was a better football player than some like these. There are kids that were much more athletic than me, were faster than me. I was a better football player. I could catch better than them. I could run routes better than them. I knew the game better than them. My hand-eye coordination. I never had a drop pass, bro. I didn't drop. Like again, yeah, I only had 13 passes, receptions in college or whatever. But in practice, bro, you get 100 balls. I never dropped passes. Like I balled.
yeah,
So in that aspect, I knew when I walked on any court, basketball, football, I didn't care if D Hop was on, DeAndre Hopkins was across me, Sammy Watkins from Sprout. It doesn't matter, bro. Like I knew they were bigger, stronger, and faster. But you put that ball in my radius, I'm gonna catch it. That's what I do. Like I literally, there's a reason I made varsity high school football as a freshman, played dual quarterback. Like played the entire field, bro. I was an athlete, and so I had no fear when I got there. Like, yeah, they were bigger, stronger, and faster, but I was like, yeah, I still can. I've still been playing catch since I was in diapers. Like I remember
yeah,
thinking to myself on a jugs machine, like I've caught 10,000 more balls than these kids because my dad had a jugs machine when I was 4. I was out there with a jugs machine at 6. He brought home a baseball pitching machine. I had a pitching machine since I was 5 years old. I was cracking them out of the park. Like my hand-eye coordination ability to be an athlete was just second nature to me. So, um, yeah, when I got there, it's funny, like I said, because I would have probably never been recruited. But once I got there and they realized I was an athlete, I just kept working, 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 and continue to build that skill set up and to compete. So it was a cool little like transition in life coming from war and being able to tap back into my athletic ability and harness skill and be part of a
right.
new team.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And yeah, I mean, I've definitely seen, examples of your athleticism, and I think it's pretty crazy. And, I think that that's a pretty true statement about you and what I know of you. You might not be the, best, whatever, the biggest, the strongest, the, most talented or whatever in any situation, but I feel like the work ethic that you have and the mentality that you're able to just like put forth every day, I think that that's what separates you and what's led you to the success and so many different things that you have had.
No, yeah, no, yeah, I would agree to you. Yeah, it's all about separation, man. Like I think a lot of people think you need breakaway speed to accomplish goals or set records, and it's like it's a game. Life is a game of inches, and sometimes you're only going to get a step or half a step of separation. You got to make a play, and that's been the story of my life.
Hmm.
Historia de mi vida is because porque bro, I'm not the biggest, strongest, or fastest, like I said, but I can create separation. I can create myself the gap of what I need to get my toe in that door, and my body will fit through right after it. Don't worry about that because I'm gonna work my ass off to get there. But
Yeah,
I think sometimes you just have to take your advantage, and same in the court. Like I was always an undersized point guard, shooting guard, etc. But all I need when I see Steph Curry play and LaMelo Ball, that was very similar to my style, right? Like I could shoot, very dynamic pass, like always looking down the court. I was a quarterback. Like I'll beat you with the pass, not the dribble. Like you got to work smarter, not harder.
yeah,
And I think that is a very um, abstract imagery of my own life and what I hold applicable to my efforts is I'm not going to be able to throw the ball 80 or run past you. But if I can move these chains, if I can work hard to get that first down and keep the ball in the field, if I can, get inside the paint and get your big man in foul trouble and give it to my advantage, okay, now we're playing the game where it's on my structure, my time, my line, and you're
yeah,
and you're still winning, you're making progress. Um, and so that, and yeah, I played a lot of chess as a kid. I still play a lot of chess now. I'm really getting back into it, and it's great, man. You kind of just you try to view life in more of a strategic way of accomplishing things and reassuring yourself that this is what you want to be doing and what you're working for.
yeah,
And yeah, it's a process and a journey. Um, But yeah, I always tell people, I don't always tell people, I'm telling you, like, you don't need the separation to feel like you're winning the race, or winning the down, or winning the play. All you need is a little bit of separation. And if your
Yeah,
teammate knows that, if you guys are on the same page, or whoever you're, or whatever it is, you're gonna do good things, right? You're gonna be able to at least make plays or give efforts.
right.
You might not win, you might not complete the pass, you might not make the shot, but you gave your shot a you gave yourself a great opportunity. You gave yourself a look. You gave yourself a chance, and that's where it starts for me. Is nothing that I've accomplished is possible if I don't give myself a chance, if I don't put myself out there, if I don't take that first step, if I don't create just an inch of
Mm-hmm.
separation to have the bandwidth for air to come through to oxygen, oxygen. I don't even know if that's a word. Oxygenate my ideas, right? So
Mm-hmm.
create that little bit of hesitation, separation for your own self, and yeah, and see what happens. See what kind of plays you can make in your life.
Definitely, yeah. It that just kind of epitomizes the whole like stay driven thing that is kind of part of your branding and like your message. So
Yeah,
I love that. Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, man.
Um, so Daniel, would you say that like as of right now, music that's like the biggest passion that you have going on?
It's it's really wild because I think I'm ADD in some regard. I don't know
Okay.
knows, but I hop around a lot, right? And that's what I'm trying to get at. Like,
Yeah.
so yes, music has always siempre been my passion. I mean, I was writing. I was a published poet at 6 years old, like 7 years old. Not like but I was submitting poetry to contests, and like one of my poems made like a book.
Yeah.
So that was something that has just always been an outlet. And I think that's the difference. What I'm trying to, like, my passions, I don't want to dry out my passions. I don't want to put them all out in the sun at once. And because the reality is I have dreams of being on tour. I want to be a working artist. I want to have recognition and credibility in the game, and as a musician, to collab and write. And oh man, yeah, Danny Ray was a part of that. Like, just have that, because I believe I'm lyrically sound. I feel like I have a gift of this artistry.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't want to put everything into it and then not get a reward, right? Because that'll beat my love out of my of what I have. So I have to diversify my own portfolio, my own life of opportunity and passion. Um, and right now, I'm down in Colombia learning Spanish, and it's something that has always been an objective in my life since about now. That doesn't mean it can. So it has been a priority in my life to learn Spanish since about 25, 26, and I'm really obsessed with it. It's something super challenging for me right now, and I'm getting um, just a lot of nutrition from my way of thinking, opening up my mind, and knowing that I'm going to be able to communicate on a different level and be on the international speaking circuit when I come back and do movies in Spanish. So
Hmm.
my passions are all kind of aligning right now, and I think my passion is working hard and seeing something accomplished. So whether
Yeah.
that's an album, or whether that's a language, or a business idea, whatever that might be, like, I think I kind of have my structured moments when I need to execute and give my time and effort, because I don't want to sit there and this is me personally, like 10 years down the road, I made 10 albums, four of them were just regurgitated because I was just putting it out there to make sure I was a continue working artist. Now I'd rather,
Right.
you know, have a second book come out, have filmed 2 or 3 movies. Okay, now I'm simultaneously working on about 4 or 5, an EP right now. I have 4, maybe 5 songs. I'm going to put on at 6, potentially, depending if I get another beat or two in there. But it's just, I have to harness my experiences and my beliefs, right? Like,
Hmm.
every time I write, this is something that I want to put out into the world for forever, and it to be lasting. So it's important that I don't dilute it
Right.
or overcook it. So I'm extremely passionate about music. I love it. I'm working on it right now, but I don't like to tell people or to answer your question, it's not like my end all be all passion. For me, my passion is to grow, is to gain more knowledge, is to flourish, and ultimately that will transition into better music, into more music, and to styles, genres, collaborations, and that's what I'm really excited about. So I think my passion right now is to evolve as a human,
Yeah.
challenge myself um, artistically and lingually, and hopefully hit next year or the next years of my life with more opportunity and more music and more creativity.
Yeah, no, I think that that's awesome, and kind of like you've talked about today, just like creating opportunities and putting your best foot forward and everything. I think it's like, dude, I remember like just I don't remember like how long ago it was, but you're like, I was talking to you, and you're like, yeah, I'm just going to Colombia to learn Spanish. I'm like, what? Like, I was like, all right, cool. So it's just like I feel like you know, you're someone that's not afraid to just like put yourself out there, or just like try different things or new things, and just be like, yeah, like I'm just gonna go do this. I'm gonna go learn this. And I feel like when you do pursue something, you don't want to just like learn how to, talk to maybe like one person in America in Spanish. Like you want to be able to master it. Like I think that's something that I've learned about you and from you, that like the things that you put your time and energy into, like you don't want to just be like okay or good at it. You want to really master that craft and evolve it into being like almost like an extension of you, and like a fully mastered art.
Absolutely, bro. Like
Yeah.
it's 100%, like 100%. Sorry, I'm taking notes. Believe it or not.
Oh, you good.
Yeah, no. Really, you made a good point. But no, like, but it's it correlates. Like as much as it's funny, the translation in Spanish doesn't. I'm a leaf. I tell people I'm a leaf in the wind, right? Like I enjoy kind of reinventing myself and going with
Hmm.
the flow and seeing where life takes me. But one of the I kind of hit on it. I grew up in a predominantly white area in Virginia. My parents are from New Mexico, Texas, American citizens. My grandparents are American. I'm third generation American, but for me, there was I kind of had a cultural wake up when I used to pride myself like, bro, I don't speak Spanish. No, I'm from Virginia. I don't speak Spanish. I used to color in the other box in my forms and put American, and like just like what y'all are crazy. Why are we continuing to do this? And then probably 2, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, más o menos, more or less. I'm speaking at a conference, an authors conference in California, and I speak to 3 different high schools, and one of them is an underprivileged community. The majority of the escuela was minorities, Chicanos, Mexicans. I'd probably say 30% of them, English was their second language, and maybe 15% of them were struggling to speak English. I could not speak English. Gave a lecture, standing ovation, entire school was signed books, loving it. And there's 10, 15 kids that are in tears that cannot communicate with me. And that's when it hit me. I was like, wow, like you want to call yourself a source of inspiration in this world and embrace what people praise you for and thank you. And you can't even communicate with somebody that looks like you. Like you've been turning a blind eye to your culture and community and trying to flush out who your identity is and what you come from and your lineage, and you don't have a connection to mi raíz, la conexión to my roots, my idioma, my language. And in that moment, it was like, yeah, bro, like you need to take a look in the mirror and be real with yourself. This is who you are, and this is what, if you want to really be special and leave an impact on this world, if you want to really have a fulfillment or a feel like you're not complete, but feel like you are completing yourself, then you need to learn this.
Hmm.
And so that was kind of the starting point. Fast forward, pandemic, business things shut down, and for me, it was a necessary adjustment in my life to kind of take blinders off that I didn't need to be wearing anymore, to take off um, or take on new beginnings and readjust priorities, shifting it to be music, shifting it to be speaking and acting and more writing, right? And
Yep.
so it's been it's always been me and my mentality to go pursue, but I've also had like moments in my life where this has been there have been clear structure or clear definitions of why I'm doing or why the next chapter is presented. So it is sporadic and I'm not afraid to go for it, but it's usually cultivated from some type of experience or some type of lasting dream or desire that I've always wanted to do. So it plays in hand. Like I have a song that is socialized, like Don't seem surprised that I've arrived. Now my dreams all coincide. Why go for pride? You won't grow inside. I'll be lit if I solidify. Because there's hope, baby, hope inside my boat. And I'm going to roll with it until I can't go on. And I don't know if it's soul fixing, but I will stay strong. Because on the low, girl, it's the only thing I got worth hanging on.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, I love it, and it's it's kind of funny that you just referenced socialize because I was gonna ask, from your music journey so far, is there a song that is like your favorite song that you ever written or like a favorite line? Would it be the one that you just referenced in Socialize, or like is there
No,
something that really
I
stands
mean,
out?
yes and no, but that's just kind of how my life works, man. Like,
Yeah,
it's always a lyric. I mean, I put lyrics to everything, and not even my own. Like, people will say something. Oh, have you heard the song? It's like from like 1963. It's from the Isley, but like, I'm a music head, like genre. So, like, we're products of our environment, right? That's what you have
yeah,
to understand about language and word and sound. Is like once we hear it and embrace it, it has meaning. We've grown to evolve and bring that structure in our life and implement it and break it down and translate it. And so I hold on to that because those are moments of defining either motivation or understanding of something. And so to answer your question, I don't know if I have favorite lyrics because they're all like kids to me. Like,
yeah,
they're all just walking ideas of like what when I write, I'm like, man, that's really good. Like, this slaps. This is gonna be dope.
yeah,
And it's also like, but it's not like, oh, that's I have songs where I'm like, yeah, that was real. Like, that one was deep. But I try to put out music that I'm proud of every across the board. Like, if you play the song, I'm gonna be proud of whatever comes out of that radio or whatever comes out of that. So
yeah,
um, I think "Socialize" is a great song. I like a line in there about, then you hear we killed Pat Tillman years before the iPhone film, and we were just kids being children, Creekside reeling, like. So I talk about the my path. It's the same song, but yeah, no, it's hard for me to say like, oh, one song is that makes or breaks me or this or that, because
yeah.
they've all been that rope has been put down in that well deep, and I try to bring up as much fresh water as I can and put it into my lyrics.
Yeah, no, I think that's great, and that's kind of what I figured you would answer, that they're all kind of like your kids, and it's
Yeah.
hard to pick, and, I mean, just not just saying it because, you're a friend or anything, but when I listen to your music, I think that all of it is it's just so good. I mean, for me, just like as a music lover, like when I listen to the stuff you put out there, it's like I don't want to skip any of it. Like they're different. They, have different messages. They have, different kind of types of lyrics and different kind of vibes and feels, but it's all good. And I feel like it's been cool to see kind of like your journey with music and the growth that you've had too.
I appreciate that, and
Yeah,
yeah, I try to. I'm influenced by a lot of music, and I do rap, soy
yep,
rapero, as we say. But to me, that's a challenging. It's a very. I write all songs. Like, that's the thing. People are like, well, what are you? I'm like, bro, I got a live band. Like, I do my shit live. Like, I'm in the
hmm,
studio, make some beats. Like, I'm an artist, bro. I'm a lyricist. Like, I
yeah,
don't care what the beat is. I can put music. I can put words to it. Like, that's the easy part for me. The fun part is writing, is diving in for a weekend or sometimes a month, or scanning dictionaries and looking
hmm,
looking at store signs, just walking down the street to get lost and look for new ideas, and like, or try to inspire a conversation just to get something out of somebody that might trigger in
right,
you, and that's the beauty of it. So that's the enjoyment of it for me. Like, I could be in a room with no light, and I'm 2 days later, I'm like, oh man, it's been 2 days, but you're not thinking that because I'm so fulfilled by writing
hmm,
or creating something that I know somebody like yourself might not want to skip through it. And that's the importance of why I have to detail. My audience isn't massive. Like, I want to continue to work, but I'm going to continue to work, but that's not my, that's why, a lot of people are, oh, you got to market, put social media. I'm like, man, like, I've always been an advocate of, like, I am not a social guru. I've had help in some regards, but I just like making the music. I like putting it
yeah,
out there. Like, I'm like, nobody's marketing me. I'm not a marketer, right?
yeah,
I like, and so I'm not going to waste my time trying to check off things, or if the art is what I love and the art is what I do and the music's what I make, I'll make it for my audience and I'll make it for myself. And if that cultivates in the world and takes off and other opportunities that come, well, it's back to the persistence of my nature. Like, I'm going to continue to just work at what I like to do or what I love. And if the bigger opportunity comes, it's not going to be a surprise. It's going to be because it's what I've always wanted to do
Yeah.
and what I continue to work for. So, it's just, it's a process, and nothing is overnight. I mean, some things are, but most things for me in my life have not been. Um, so you just got to, again, persistence, the drive, surround yourself with shit that you love so you have a desire to get out and continue to accomplish and create and grow. And I think that's a very sound way to structure belief and purpose is small steps, create that separation, but do it to what you like, do it to what you love.
Yeah.
And most things work out from there. And it's all mindset and want to and know how. And humans, sapiens are incredible species. We're incredible species with, um, man, so much to give and so
Yeah.
much to take. So it's don't limit yourself. And yeah, for me, that's just more music, man. I see like these dudes touring at like 50. And
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck yeah, brother. Why should I put a ceiling or timeline? Or I'm thinking, okay, yeah, I want to rock Coachella and Lollapaloozas. And I think, okay, who wants to go see a 40-year-old at Coachella? But it's like, you don't know that, bro. Like, you
Right.
can't think that way because you never fucking know.
Right.
So like, just keep doing your thing, and we'll see what happens, bro. Like,
Yeah.
don't let the worldly distractions derail you from what you love and what you do. So, you know,
Yeah. No, I think that's great. And I think like something you've talked about is like surrounding yourself with kind of like the right people, the right support, people with, like-mindedness. And I think that that's why you and I have been able to connect and get along. Very much what you were saying, like I resonated with, like even with this podcast. Like I don't have the biggest following by any means, and I probably should market a little more than I do. But I love doing this. I love connecting with people like yourself and just like sharing stories and how you got to where you're at and what you're doing and all that stuff. So I mean that's what gets me excited to do. So I mean, like, kind of like you said, if this blows up for me, like I'm not going to be like surprised because like I'm putting in the work, but at the same time, like I'm not racing against anyone. I'm on my own timeline and doing my own thing, just staying kind of nose to the ground and working hard on it.
yeah, man, that's all you can do, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the beauty of self fulfillment or
Right.
entrepreneurship or anything of that nature where you're working for yourself or knocking off your own goals. Like, you can't put yourself in a comparative state of other people because they probably don't share your dreams. Or they
Right.
don't, or maybe it's the same, but what's their process? There's so many variables that come into play. So you have to kind of put out the nonsense. And for that matter, social media is a drug in of itself and an illusion. Like, in today's world, you can buy followers and buy streams and everything. So it's like you see
Yeah.
like this misconception of what you think people are working for, what they've accomplished. In reality, it's what they've bought or what algorithm has given them the facade. So you can't really put that into the equation of happiness. You
Right.
have to just do. It's so cliche, but it's like just do what makes you happy. Like, I'm living in it's a tercer mundo, a third world, right? It's a
Hmm.
third world country, país, but it's not third world. The souls and hearts of these people are so rich. The family is so genuine. The love for thy neighbor, their community, their purpose. They wake up, they're happy, right? And they're not being influenced by what they don't have,
Right.
right? And that's the sad part of America is like we have so much opportunity and thankfulness, but you're marketed by shit constantly that you can't afford or you can't have or you haven't obtained yet, and it gives you this barometric pressure of bullshit, that you have to work harder, that you have to skip lunch, that you have to not take a holiday, you don't call somebody you love because you're working towards. It's like, bro, you have to realize what do you really want out of this?
Yeah.
Like, you are you doing this because you love it, or are you doing it because you want to be comparatively the next Joe Rogan, right? And maybe
Right.
that is a dream, but but that's not going to happen for everybody, and that you can't put those pressures on yourself to say, if I don't do this or become this, then this was a failure. No, then you're not doing it for the right reasons. You're not
Right.
going to put a message out there that people are going to embrace and absorb. You're going to give them something like, oh, this is just another dude trying to get numbers, and like, No, be authentic, be you, create what you want, do it at your pace, like you said, and make sure you're putting out a product that you're proud of.
Yeah.
Um, I think I think that's where a slight bit of narcissism is healthy. Right. I think a mirror is good. Like I check myself out. Right. It gives me an honest perspective of how I look and how I like. And also, you need to have that honest perspective with yourself. Like, no matter if anybody else likes it, as long as you like that shit and you can bump your music or listen to your podcast, that's all that fucking matters.
Yeah.
Because make yourself smile, man. And I'm sure you got, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure you got some loving people in your life. They're going to
Yeah.
support you. That's really all that counts, man. Like that's really at the end of the day, like a smile is a smile is a smile.
Yeah.
And you just got to continue to do what you to do that you really, that really is a true testament of you, not something that you're trying to accomplish for somebody else's recognition. It's your own bandwidth and desires is what I think makes it special.
Totally. Definitely agree, man. Last thing that I just really wanted to kind of pick your brain on a bit and just talk to you a bit was so you mentioned something else you're passionate about was acting, and it totally escaped me. I forgot that is another passion of yours. So how was kind of the process and everything that went into the Outpost? How was that for you?
Kind of daunting in a way, but
Yeah.
I mean, again, like it's the same highway of exit and opportunity. Like I continue to pave and run the race to win, or for myself in that manner. And I was living in California. I was on looking for auditions and always wanted to act, and was on the speaking circuit and was looking to get my foot in representation. I was represented by an agency for speaking and had asked them for representation in acting and music, but obviously like no, like who are you? And so it's like I felt like I had so much opportunity like at my fingertips, and nobody was giving me the time of day. Like nobody, like, okay, you got a book, like that's all we're gonna rep you for. Like you have, and I'm like, no, I'm a really good artist. Like I can act. I'm at the world's top three agency and was representing me for speaking. And I'm like, literally, like you guys have a solid actor right here. Like you guys have an amazing musician. Like I can do this. Nobody would give me the time of day. So when the Outpost presented itself as something that was going to be made and the book was being made, I was like, all right, well, they're going to ask for my input and to be I forget the word, like advisor. They wanted me to be an advisor and kind of give insight on the film. And
Hmm.
I was like, you know what? Well, if they're going to make a movie about my life and ask me about it, like this is my window of opportunity to to hopefully spark a career, or give. It's the same mindset and philosophy I had in football. You cannot expect to play in the NFL or play in college or anything if you do not have film. If you cannot put film out there for a coach to see and to grade you on and see your critiques and see your movement and see the potential, then you're a blind figment of your own imagination in this world. And so, as much as that movie was difficult to make and very emotionally straining,
Hmm.
the bigger picture is I had to look at the kid that I was before any of the war unfolded, before any of that adversity and tragedy and loss of friends had occurred. It's like I always wanted to act. I've always wanted to make movies. And if this is the opportunity that life has presented itself, I need to figure out a way to get a part of it and to get what I want out of my life. Like if I survive this and somebody's gonna glorify it, romanticize it, then this is an opportunity for me to be a part of a project that or some type of project in a facet that I've always wanted to be a part of, a film, acting, a set. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I went and asked them who they had playing me, and they hadn't casted it yet. And I threw the idea out there. I was like, listen, I'll fly myself out there. I'll be a part of this film. I'd like to to really be in this industry. And that was kind of the initial push. The director and the uh, production company signed off on it. I was in Bulgaria like a month later, out there for a month filming. The director absolutely loved the one scene because again, it's like the whole Clemson thing. Like I think I was more of a good story and marketing ad than somebody to come in and change the film or change the program. But once you get there, you got to just show them what you have and work hard. And I knew that I was a good actor. I knew I was a sound artist. Like I knew I was still athletic and could do my own stunts. So there's things that just play into the acting realm of what I've always wanted to do. And I've been making music videos since college. Me and my friends would make movies and home movies like since we were kids with our camcorders. Like this is something that it wasn't me just first time in front of a camera. Like it's
Right.
something I've always wanted to do. This is something even like people would watch my Snapchats. They'd be like, bro, you're like really funny, like creative, like you like go above and beyond. I'm like, yeah, I know. Like I love this shit. So when the movie came, like I was always editing my own GoPro videos, everything. When the movie came about, it was like, this is where I need to be at and I need to get on that set and spark this next chapter of what I've always wanted to accomplish and just keep that kid curiosity
Yeah.
and go for it. So yeah, that's how it unfolded. It was a difficult process, but it was more than the difficulty. I wasn't really making the movie
Hmm.
to like, oh, this is so everybody can see what I went through. No, I was making the movie so I get filmed to make more movies, bro.
Yeah.
100, that was it. I was getting the film, bro. Like it was the opportunity that presented itself, and this is a great thing. I can add authenticity, make sure the film is properly and as genuinely portrayed as possible. That was something that I also had on my shoulders over there. And I'm thankful that Rod Lurie, the director, and everybody else on set was extremely um, uh, cautious of how they executed. They were very appreciative of the opportunity to tell the story, and that the families were put first and foremost to make sure that
Hmm.
that it was kosher and was going to be well received, which was all unnecessary. Um, which were all necessary for me. I wasn't going to be a part of something that was like didn't tell the story right or bullshitted
Right.
this or that, right? So that was a criteria. But once that was hit, and I knew that it's Hollywood is Hollywood, and it's not going to be a perfect tale. I was there for me. I was there for
Yeah.
me. I was there for families, and I was there for me because at the end of the day, this is what I've always wanted. This is where I've always wanted to be. And if I don't execute on this or give it my best right now, then I'm going to have nobody else to blame but myself. And so, yeah, it was a great opportunity. The film did well. Obviously, the pandemic hit, which shifted a lot of things, but um, became the number one stream movie on iTunes during the pandemic. It led to me getting more representation,
Hmm.
and yeah. So I don't know if I'll ever get another film again. Hopefully, I will. I've got some promising opportunities coming up that if everything goes through, I might be filming again next year very soon, which I'm very excited for. And yeah, I'm just continuing to work and get better at auditioning and
Yeah.
script reading. And again, nobody might want to see me at 40 on Lollapalooza, but if I'm a part of the next Game of Thrones at 45, I'm cool with that too, right?
There you
Like,
go. Yeah.
it's just like it's all perspective, bro. Like
Yeah.
you gotta really love what you do and just stay with it and see what happens.
Yeah, no, I love that. That's awesome, and it's really cool that you had that experience. And I mean, I know that when I was able to watch the Outpost, it was really impactful, and it was cool. It was obviously cool to see on the big screen. But yeah, I mean, I think like you said, I think it's Hollywood, but I think at the end of the day, at least from the conversations that I've had with you, and from the kind of I'll say minimal knowledge I have about the events that took place, it seemed like it was a pretty accurate and good depiction from a movie standpoint of the things that you went
Absolutely.
through and everything. So
No, it was. I agree to that, and I'm extremely proud to have been part of the film. Yeah, it was well received. Again, like I haven't gotten hate mail from families. Like, can't
right,
believe you. So it's something that I'm proud of, and I'm glad that the story's told, and it alleviated the pressure off me too. Like a lot of people, I don't have to really dive down that hole anymore. I can tell you about the movie, but if you really want to kind of know what it was like, just go watch the movie, right?
yep,
That's what I
exactly,
got to tell you now. I'm like, yeah, just go watch the movie, man. It's all good.
yeah. And I mean, you don't have to get into like the weeds of it or go into much depth, but to anyone that's listening that isn't familiar with the Outpost or what it's about, do you mind just kind of giving like a quick like cliff notes of kind of what it's about and
Yeah,
everything?
no, it's when I was in Afghanistan in 2009, um, my unit, my platoon and base was overrun by roughly 400 Taliban soldiers in what's known as the Battle of Kamdesh, or the bloodiest battle in the war in Afghanistan. Uh, yeah, and we were completely overrun. 8 of my friends were killed. 20 something of us were wounded, myself included, shrapnel in my leg and neck, and bullet fragment in my shoulder. And yeah, it was about an 18-hour firefight. Everything was on fire. We killed about 100 Taliban in and around the wire, and like he was nuts. So um, yeah, just a very very savage moment, man. Like
Yeah.
fighting for your life. So
Yeah.
and that got made into a motion picture and has been depicted in a very real and I would say entertaining way to some degree, but also
Hmm.
at the same time, like it's for me and my sanity, it's painted an appropriate picture of authenticity that people
Yeah.
can then see and hopefully um, whether they appreciate it or not, just know maybe who my friends were a little bit better, or know what soldiers
Hmm.
endure in those types of environments. And, you know, hopefully it will lead to something somewhere, or potentially another war not being fought, or putting something of that nature. So, you know, there's the half glass full, or full half whatever the saying is. But that's kind of what I endured, how the movie came from it, and what I hope that it brings in for years to come.
Definitely. Definitely. I think that's great. And, like I said, good depiction of the events that took place and everything. So if that sounds interesting to anyone listening, or, you just want to check out Daniel, that's the Outpost. I know it was on Netflix. I
Yeah,
don't,
I
is
think
it,
it's everywhere now. I think yeah, it's
yeah.
definitely Netflix. So
Okay.
Netflix, Amazon. I think Amazon or who one of them has the director's cut. I can't remember.
Okay.
One of the subscriptions has a director's cut, which I actually have more scenes in.
Okay.
Bam, 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 plug, plug, plug. No, I'm just playing. So no, I have more scenes in the director's cut, and they kind of talk about the making, etc. So there's
Okay.
some options for people out there if they're truly interested and want to go check it out.
Cool. Yeah. So definitely check that out. And then, um, there's what, Spotify, Apple Music,
Yeah,
any
man, the kid is all over YouTube, Spotify,
YouTube,
wherever you,
Spotify, yep.
Pandora, everything.
SoundCloud.
SoundCloud. My
You got,
latest album was, I will put it back on SoundCloud. My latest one, I'll put it up there. I'm glad you said that. Yeah, because they actually have a new platform now.
okay.
I forget the name of it, but yeah, my name is Daniel Ray Rodriguez. A lot of my, you know, everybody called me D Rod, but a lot of my girlfriends call me Danny Ray, and so I've always like had Danny Ray, and I went to go put my music up as Danny Ray and all this, and um, there was like four other Danny Rays on Spotify or platform, and uh, DistroKid or Amuse, whoever I was using to put my music under the wrong name, and
Yeah.
so like last minute I changed it to Danny Del Rey. Just I don't know. I like Lana Del Rey,
Yeah.
and my Ray spelled different than Lana's Ray. Like she's
Yeah.
Rey, and it's actually my name. Like that's like not Lana's name. That's from Kings. That's Lana from Kings, which is great.
Yeah.
But my name's Daniel, and from Ray, my father's name was Ray. So yeah, Danny Del Rey is on all platforms. Is my artist name.
Yep.
Um, Kind of got a little ring to it, so it's cool for me, and it still holds authenticity to what my name is and where I'm from. So Danny from Ray, and
Yep.
yeah, Danny Del Rey. Anywhere you want to stream, we got new music coming out. Yeah, man, you want to
Yeah.
collab? Send me some beats. If you're out there listening, I'm a hungry hippo. Come feed me.
I love that, man. So yeah, Outpost on pretty much any streaming or movie platforms. Danny Del Rey on music platforms. Daniel Rodriguez in terms of writing and speaking. If I don't know, like a business or college is listening to this and wants a guest speaker or something, I think those are all like the plugs to check you out. Is there anything I'm missing, or any other social medias you want to include or anything?
You know, no, again, like I get the importance relative, but I try to say I'm not a slut for the followers.
Yeah.
Danny Del Rey. No, come check me out, follow me. It's not, it's just search Danny Rodriguez. But if you can't find me, I guess I'm not that important. But nah, I mean, I'm pretty chill. Yeah, Danny Del Rey on at
Awesome.
least Instagram and Spotify, and that's my main hubs. Twitter's a little different. It's funny because my platforms consist of different audiences. And I don't
Yeah.
know if any other people are have and do this, but for music, it's really not a big audience on my Twitter or anything like that. Like
Right.
it's more Snap, Insta. Like I'm not really big on TikTok. I put some stuff out there, but it's wild what takes off for me. People are obsessed with my war videos, so I put like
Yeah.
a war video up and it'll get however many streams, likes, and then it'll get taken down. Like somebody will, get banned. So like I go through these waves of like content where I get like followers are easy to search. So I just try to just put out what I want. Like I don't really
Yeah.
put a big emphasis on like, oh, follow me, this, that. I'm just like, if we meet, we meet. If you hear my music, we hear my music, and I hope you enjoy it. And no hard feelings if you don't even bother to waste your time. It's cool because
Right.
I like it.
Yeah, that's all that matters, man. Awesome. Daniel, anything else that you want to end it with? Any last words or thoughts or anything?
I don't know, man. If you want more, I got a book too. You can go check that out. Rise. It's available on Amazon, and I think Zach, it's always been a pleasure.
Yeah.
I'm glad we met. Talked to your university, and we've stayed in touch. You reached out. You've been an asset in more ways than just a friend, and so I'm happy to do this, and appreciate the time, buddy.
Yeah, man, appreciate you. Appreciate you taking the time to talk today. Glad to call you a friend, and it's been cool to be on this journey together, just through life the last few years, and excited for your future. Know you're gonna do some great things. Can't wait to hop on that tour with you and travel around and see all the places
Hey,
that you're going.
let's
And
go.
I know when you get back to the States, I know we've talked about linking up at some point. So looking forward to getting together sometime, and all good stuff's coming.
Absolutely, my guy. It's good talking to you,
All
man.
right, man. Good talking to you too. We'll talk to you later.
Later.